Thanks for tuning into the Urban School Podcast. I'm back with more Saturday Night Live news. So, reading an article in Variety Magazine online, Tracy Morgan talked about his time on Saturday Night Live as a part of a docu-series on Peacock, um, talking about his time on SNL and the docu-series SNL 50. He was talking about basically, he felt culturally isolated on the Saturday Night Live cast in his earlier years. Now, he was a cast member from 1996 to 2003. He said he was excited to join the show, but it took some time for him to feel at home. He said to be on the whitest show in America, he said, I felt by myself. I felt like they weren't getting it. So, first point of this story is it's exciting to see all of these former cast members talk about their time on SNL and give us that behind the scenes look and how they have grown and learned from the industry, because a lot of these stories are stories most people have and they don't talk about it because they don't have the platform to do so. And this Saturday Night Live 50 has given them the platform to do so. I wish In Living Color and Mad TV and all those other, these other wonderful skit TV shows come out and tell their story, even the Chappelle show, for them to come out and talk about just their times on the show and the behind the scenes stuff that we didn't know. That's interesting for us to know, like the context of all these things. But I understand Tracy Morgan's point from a perspective of, and he talked about this being an inner city youth and then having to diversify into a world that was way different. So he was from the inner city, New York, around majority black people, and then he went to this platform where it's majority white people and they have a majority white audience. So my personal story, coming from the inner city youth of inner city of Memphis, going to college in Nashville, but I went to HBCU, so it was, majority black people. But then after finishing at Tennessee State, I went to Marquette University, which was a predominantly white school. It was a Jesuit Catholic school. So it was more like white people, Asians. It was more diversified than I had ever experienced in my life. And it was a lot different because the conversations and the connections that you have with people it's not the same. You have to learn to adjust. But then also, I think it's important that you adjust without compromising yourself and being somebody you're not. And that's what I was always able to do. And it seems like Tracy Morgan was able to do that same thing. Um, because we know the greatest tools to survival is adaptation. It's not strength or speed or agility or anything else. It's your ability to adapt. If it's cold outside, can you wear a coat? Can you sit out and be able to adjust? Or if it's hot outside, can you be able to get in the shade and do other things like that? A lot of people, are not comfortable with adapting to the environment. And a lot of life is adapting to the environment because everything won't be the same. The same things that you could do or say now are not the same things you'll be able to do in 10 or 15 years. And people in the 80s understand, like, now, things they did back then, you can't, or things they said back then, you can't say now. Just because time changed, people adapt. It's the whole evolution process. And this is the premise of what Tracy Morgan was talking about, him being able to tell jokes and do things like that. I think Dave Chappelle kind of touched on this before as well. He talked about he was from an all white community, so he had to be able to tell jokes to black people and be able to adjust. But if something's funny, it's funny. But, some things people don't understand, like certain culture moments, certain movies that other cultures haven't seen that other people, they're a staple in their community. Like, for example, watching Friday, most of the people that I've been around from other cultures may not watch Friday, but everybody in the black community, watched Friday or heard of Friday at least. So it's just those nuances and intricacies that make things different. But like I said, the key is being able to be diverse, but not compromise yourself as a person. And I think that's one of the best things I was able to do is always be myself, no matter if, like my first job, when the supervisor used to come around when I was like 17. Everybody would be stiff and wouldn't talk and, be all uptight. But I was still joking around and be myself. And then people love you for being yourself, regardless, because that's the easiest thing that you can do. And I think Tracy Morgan figured it out. When you think about people like Snoop Dogg and you think about people like 50 Cent, they're genuinely themselves. Snoop Dogg will smoke anywhere. He'll do what he wants to do, and people love Snoop Dogg for him. 50 Cent the same way. He can say what he want, do what he want. People know that's 50 Cent. They let him be him. And that's something you have to admire, people being able to have that. And that's a skill to be able to do that, because a lot of people are not comfortable in their own skin to do that. But those people figured it out. But, Tracy Morgan, I understand what he was coming from, and he was just speaking on his adjustment, but he talked about how he loved being on the show, and they gave him an opportunity and a platform to be successful like he is now. He's done tons of movies and TV shows, and he's a a world renowned star now because of it, because of his ability to be on Saturday Night Live and broadcast his talent to the world. Because he was very, like he said in the article, he was very excited about getting his talent out there, but he said at first they didn't understand it because he had to adjust, but he was able to stay himself, it seems, and it worked out well for him. So thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast, and until next time, I'll see you next time.